And we are
back once again, the Not So Perfect Podcast. I am always as Matt Chin with my lovely co-host,
Gerardo Cornejo, coming to you in the fall of 2025.
fall of 2025.
It's officially that week. Summer's over. I'm wearing clothes, pants,
belt.
and I had to walk about 2 miles to get my guy over here a cheap coffee today.
2 miles. Now, I know that's not accurate because
More like 3, all right.
He didn't go to his main coffee shop, which is, I know, a mile down and a mile back.
So shout out to High Rise for being open today.
Appreciate you for supplying us some hot coffee. Hot coffee.
And we're back.
Yes. So last week's podcast was we went a little bit deep.
Yeah.
And,
Hope everybody watched it. Man, thought about it all week after we talked about it.
Yeah, I feel like when you talk about stuff like that and, then you get time to reflect following, that week after or just however long it's still kicking around in your head, it kind of helps you catch yourself in those moments where maybe you aren't as kind or as nice or as positive as you should be about a person, a situation, work, home, whatever the situation is. So hopefully if you guys watched last week's podcast, it made you think, made you be a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bit more patient with people.
Yeah, we were traveling this weekend for my wife's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Stacy.
Shout out.
And it was cool having my kids practice, please, can I please have, thank you, thank you, thank you. And watching them do it with the service community, the service industry, which they deserve it the most, you know. Yep. They go through a lot, but it was great being thankful and having manners, and yeah.
That reminds me of my grandma. Please and thank you.
That's
back to back.
Goes
Please
a long way. Yeah, you were in the service industry, and
yeah, that I was.
It's like people go up to the bar and just flashing you their car and their money, like.
Yeah.
Get to work.
Listen, guys, I know you've got money clearly because you're showing it to me, but so does everybody else sitting at this crowded bar, crowded restaurant.
A lot of thirsty people here.
Yep. So, yeah. If we get into the restaurant industry, we'll need a whole separate podcast for just that. So we'll save that for another date. But if you haven't been, please be kind to your service workers. They handle your food. They make your food. They do all the ads, non-ads, specifics, allergies. Like, that's not an easy thing to do when you're doing that at mass scale.
And it's mainly a commission job, 100% commission job.
Well, front of houses, yeah, but then you got the kitchen guys that are usually salary, but or hourly, but yeah, I mean the people up front that are serving you your food, they're not the ones that make it. I don't know how much you know about the restaurant industry, but the person that brings you the food usually isn't the person that makes your food. So if something isn't right, please don't take it out on them. Just ask for it to either be redone, remade, whatever you need to do, but do it with kindness, please.
Communicate kindly.
Yes.
And where are we going this week?
So this week, I was kind of thinking where we could go from last week to kind of build off of, just doing some more internal reflection. But today's podcast topic I thought we could do is turning points in our lives. So I know me personally, I've had a lot at different stages of my life. So we're just going to kind of run through those.
Every decade's been a good turning point in our lives.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, so for me, like I know my first.
Well, what is a turning point to us, I guess.
Okay, yeah, there we go. So turning point for me, I look at that as kind of a point in your life where you got to make a hard decision, and usually that decision is between doing the right thing and or the wrong thing. Seems like more times than not, the hard thing or the wrong thing is usually the easier thing to do. Whereas doing the right thing or the correct thing is usually a little bit harder. So I kind of look at that as, a turning point is where you get that moment in your life where you got to take a long, hard look in the mirror and kind of figure out who you are, who you want to be, what direction you want your life to go, and what it's going to take to do that stuff, So from there, usually it kind of leads me down a lot of different other roads in terms of, okay, well, if this is something I want to do, how do I do it? Where do I start? Who do I need to talk to? Do I need resources? Do I need people smarter than me in this area? So from there it kind of branches off into just wherever the creativity of that thought will take me, So like, for example, the first big turning point I remember in my life was in high school. And for me, it was whenever I was wrestling. So I was a wrestler most of my life. Started in 3rd grade, wrestled all the way through high school. And then did it at a very high level and very successful level. But there's still a big turning point in my life because I remember after my sophomore year, the buzz was out. I was going to be a state champion, and everybody was talking about it. Coaches, other wrestlers,
Pressure's
on the team,
on.
parents, fans, whatever you want to call it, student body. And it's one of those things. It's still a big turning point in my life, and I still reflect on it today because. Long story short, I didn't win a state title. I qualified as a freshman, was one match away from placing. Took third my sophomore year, second my junior year, and then third my senior year. So that was my goal. Outside of school and education, my passion was wrestling. So that's what I devoted and poured all my effort and time into. And it's one of those things, just kind of a moment in my life where, you didn't get what you wanted, you didn't get what you thought you expected or deserved. And in that reflection, looking back, I went the wrong direction. Meaning after I lost my junior year, which I was in the state finals, and basically I just froze, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Didn't show up for the biggest stage. And, when you don't show up when the lights are brightest, it usually doesn't go your way. And that's how it went for me. So I was bound and determined my senior year to erase all that and make sure I was a state champion. And the most craziest of things wound up happening, And in that case, I wound up losing my first match at state after being up like 13 points going into the last period. And I don't really know what it was. I was, prided myself on being the most in shape, the most cardiovascular driven, the most driven person on the team, and I led by example. I didn't do a lot of talking. I did more leading by example. So I remember going into that last period, I looked over at my coach like, something's going on here. We might have a problem. And for whatever reason, wasn't in the cards.
Was it
for
a
me to be a state champ.
mental meltdown or mental?
No, I don't know if it was. I don't think it was mental. It was more of a physical thing, and maybe it was something as simple as the nerves got the best of me. I don't know. I can't pinpoint.
God, and you're so young too with all that pressure.
Yeah. So, I lost my first match my freshman year or my senior year at state, and once you lose your first match or once you lose any match at state, you're not going to be a state champion. So,
you have to be perfect to win state as a wrestler.
On that weekend, yes,
Dang.
you do. We're just better than the guy you're wrestling. It's not about being perfect. There's always errors and mistakes you can correct, even on wins. That's why I appreciate the losses so much nowadays, because they show me where I lack, where I didn't fulfill what I needed to do to get the job done. But it was a turning point in my life because after that match, I was done. I was ready to lose my next match and just be done with wrestling and turn my back on it. And then, just had a lot of negativity towards just the sport in general, just what it asks of you, and what I got back in return wasn't what I wanted. So I was boo-hooing myself up in the rafters and feeling sorry for myself. And my mom, who's the nicest, sweetest lady that's already got a golden ticket to the pearly gates whenever that time comes, she basically sat down next to me, and I was, acting like a child, emotional, crying, up, down, left, right. And one of the few times that she open hand let me know that open hand slapped me across the face and told me I need to get my crap together. And we didn't devote all this time, all these years, all this effort for you to be the wrestler that you are, just to quit when the stage is biggest. So that snapped me out of my little funk, and I got back to wrestling. And
huge turning point.
Yeah. It was one of those things. And if you've got kids, sometimes when kids just get frantic and just out of their head and just all over the place, you need to bring them back to a center. And that's not saying I encourage that behavior 100%.
This was a long time ago.
But that's what I needed, and I'm not, poor me in this. This is what I needed at that moment, because otherwise I probably would have lost that next match on purpose. Wow. But the good part is on this turning point is there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I went back and I wrestled my second match and I won. I still wasn't wrestling at the caliber I thought I should. So I don't know if I had a little bug or something that was going on that was just kind of slowing me down, but I wound up winning my next match, and then I won the next match after that, and then the match after that, and then the match after that. So
senior year, right?
Senior year, yep. So I wound up taking third place individually in that weight class, 135 pounds, and then Had I quit, had I not gone back out and win that second match or the third match or the fourth match or the fifth match, we would not have won state as a team. So, long story short, we won state by 1.5 points, which was one of the smallest margins of victory ever. So again, if I had been selfish and thought about me and only me, our whole team wouldn't have got to enjoy what it feels like
What
to
senior
be.
year class was that?
That was class of 03.
Shout out to the
Class
JC
of
wrestling
Elias,
class. Oh, Elias.
Wrestling
Whoops.
class of 03. Thank you very much. We don't talk about that.
Elias was located in Jefferson City is what I meant. Jeff City.
Yeah,
JC.
we need to clean that up. Go in and we'll edit that later. But no, so not only did we win a team state title, but we also won a state title for my head coach, who that was his last year before he retired. So that's a man that had 11 state titles under his belt already, and we got to send him off with the champ as a champ. So, again, these are all things you don't see in the moment. Whenever I was in the rafters boohooing and crying, that wasn't on my radar at all. It was all about me, and it's just the wrong attitude to have, when you're doing a team sport. So, snap me out of it. Turning point, took third. We won state team title. We sent coach off with the state championship, and yeah. But I mean, even after that, I was still messed up. I was
Thank
still,
Mama Chin for that championship.
I still was never the
took
same.
everybody.
It was just that resentment that I had that I didn't do enough, that I didn't, I let people down. But throughout that process, I was never thinking about myself. It was always what other people thought or what other people would think about me not doing what I was supposed to do. So that was an important one. But from there, I can definitely tell that's when my drinking went up, was after that state title. So, just use that as a learning point or as a turning point for, you got a decision to make. You can go left or you can go right.
Was that your last wrestling match adventure?
Yeah. Yep, because
Oh,
I had some health issues after that kind of prevented me from continuing in college. But by that point, like I said, my resentment for wrestling was still pretty strong at that time. I still hadn't forgiven the sport for preventing me from doing whatever it is I thought I was supposed to do.
Dang.
Yeah. So that was the first big turning point in my life. But that was that was 18 years old.
Ooh, and then a lot of turns and
Well,
reverses from there.
From there, my drinking just continued to go up. I was just drink more and more and more, and that led to blackouts and just all the fun stuff that leads.
Years of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Years of that, trapped in that prison of just not being able to get out of it. So that's a good eye opener for that's just how easy it's something as simple as that can railroad you and send you down a different path.
Yeah, I mean, you could just pivot right or left or complete U-turn and not learn from it. I think turning point, I think about it all the time. Turning points are just, to me, opportunity to level up. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
With my team, things happen. They never go your way. Plan on them not going your way. That's the guaranteed goal. It will not go your way. And yeah, the turning point is getting smacked in the face and seeing which way to go. There's just so many turning points.
Yeah, well,
every day.
Especially with you and your story, like you could have had turning points as young as 6 or 8, or just in your journey to get here.
Welcome to the United States.
Yeah,
you can either fail or make the best of it. And we kicked butt as a team. It took the 4 of us.
Yeah.
All of us. And then turning point, moving to Missouri.
Yeah.
The middle of nowhere.
Now, what was the motivating factor to move to Missouri?
Getting out of Bellflower, California.
Okay.
Getting out of Southern California.
How come?
See, just getting out of, just seeing a different angle of the country. I think, I'd been there for a while, and I knew I wanted to get out of, I just knew there was more.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go explore more places, meet new people. Not that I had accomplished everything in Southern California, because nowhere near that. But it also wasn't as much fun as it was during high school. And when everybody was young, gas was 79 cents.
Yeah.
Bodyboarding, surfing in the morning before school, snowboarding after school. Big turning points in our lives. Beach or snow.
Yeah. Well, I think I like what you said there too, because that's kind of something that just struck me. Like that you said, the four of us, we did it as a team, and I never really approached life as a team. I was kind of the lone wolf. Never felt like I quite fit in, or never felt like I was with the right friend groups, or I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's just that what you guys had to go through. Like you had to do that as a team. It couldn't be 3 in, 1 out. 2 in, 2 out. But I feel like, again, just kind of like what we talk about with different things, like there's strength in numbers. If you try and do everything by yourself, like eventually you're not going to make it, because you need that help from outsiders, family members, foxhole members, like whoever it is.
And a huge shout out to my parents for them to say, for the teamwork that it had to take, like, all right, you go to the United States, I'll take care of the kids here.
Man.
Hopefully we make it up there, and my mom cried herself to sleep every night. Once we got here, it was boom, full speed ahead. My dad was able to retire once we moved to Missouri, or once they moved to Missouri, and that was a huge turning point in his life. Like, we could actually live here. There's not millions of people we got to drive through every day.
Not 9 hours of traffic.
No, you can actually live in the Midwest and enjoy life, and it's beautiful out here. Yes, you got to deal through seasons, allergies, whatever. It's worth it for those 2 weeks of those two weeks a year that I have to deal with. So worth it. And then even after my dad's passing, that's a huge turning point for my mom. Usually, me and my sister were very scared. I was very scared because usually when one spouse passes, the other one kind of follows right then and there. And here my mom is at year 5 since 2020. We were together all weekend. Still, all of us. Now it's the kids are part of all of us.
Yeah.
And she loves being with the kids. They crack her up. She gets to take videos and pictures and memories. So. That turning point in my mom's life has still been all of us getting through every day together.
Yeah, I can definitely tell just since I've been here, in this space with you. I didn't know your mom well whenever I first got in here, and I've gotten to know her a little bit better, but she is one of the smiley. I mean, just seeing her, it's like Linda. They're always smiling. It's like, God, are you ever in a bad mood or like not happy? Like, good Lord. But again, that's a good reminder for me. Like, hey, it's not that. I mean, all I gotta do is smile.
And it's those signs we talk about. They'll cheer you up.
Yeah.
It's a good thing about our. I don't want to say culture, or just the love that we have. We'll just call it that. Like, we get another day. Like growing up, I was always scared of like the end of the world and like 2020, 2012. Yeah,
Y2K.
like you'd see it on National Enquirer. I don't even know if National Enquirers are still out there.
I think they are, yeah.
But it was before social media. And then we were driving back from Branson yesterday, and I told Stacy, I was like, hey, Stacy, apparently TikTok says your birthday is the rapture, and today is that day. Hope God chose your birthday, or whatever is supposed to be your translation of the rapture, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, we got another day. We got to wake up. Went for a great walk this morning.
Yeah. Nice.
Got some sun and fresh air.
Nice humid walk.
We get another day. I was able to drop my kids off at school. I was able to drive myself to work, and be here. Cleaned up the kitchen a little bit, and it's like, whew.
Well, and I think too, like it kind of shows you just the different sides of life. If you got family members that grew up very tight, family oriented, and then I'm sure we all know those people that they don't talk to their brother, they don't talk to their dad, they don't talk to their siblings. They just don't have that connection. And I feel like those people are missing out on a lot, just because, again, whether it be your parent or a sibling or whatever, like there's only so much time you're going to get to spend with those people, and a lot of times there's that regret at the end of, man, I wish we would have just buried that hatchet and worked through it and got on the other side of that thing, which kind of brings me to my second turning point that I have is whenever I was 25. So I've talked about it before. Me and my dad, we didn't always get along all that well during high school and then into college and all that stuff, into my mid-lower 20s. And I've talked about this before. At where I'm at today, I understand why we didn't get along so well, is because we were so similar and so stubborn that we just wouldn't give an inch one way or the other. Not saying I was right, I was wrong, he was right, he was wrong. You'd have to bring my mom in for that one to ask her opinion on the navigation and stuff. But again, it was all from just a selfish standpoint on my part. I thought it was all about me, and all the stuff that goes along with that. But I think the big thing was, growing up, my dad would work third shift, so he was working nights. So we really didn't see him much just growing up. And then whenever I got to high school, my freshman year, he quit that job, just kept the rental properties and was doing that full time. So now you come home from school or practice or whatever it is, and what's he doing here? So we're just going through that process of all of a sudden now he's in our life, when the first half of it at that point he wasn't. So just as a kid trying to make sense of all that, it was just, I wasn't mature enough to do that. But anyway, so whenever I left high school and then went into college, like, it just got rockier and rockier. We just wouldn't get along, and we were just arguing all the time. And I know there was a point where basically it was Christmas break, and everybody was heading back home where they were from school. And I remember having that conversation with my mom, like, yeah, I don't think it'd be a good idea for you to come home for Christmas. It's just, we don't want.
But it's Christmas.
We don't want this hostility between you two spreading out through the rest of the family. So that was kind of a big shocker for me. Not saying I didn't expect it or didn't, wasn't halfway like, yeah, I'll show him, show him what? Anyways. So, but anyways, I got to the point where I was 25, and I just came to the realization one day where it's like, you know what? My dad and his dad didn't have a great relationship all the way till he passed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. But regardless of those reasons, that's not what I wanted my relationship with my dad to be. I didn't want resentments at the end of my life. Whatever it is, we didn't really have a one thing that we could disagree on. It was everything. So it's not like it was, this one topic that was just holding us back. It was everything, but it's because we were so similar. So I remember I wrote him a nice long note, handwritten, old school. But basically I was just like, look, Dad, I know we haven't always gotten along. I know we haven't always seen eye to eye. But I don't want to live the rest of my life not having a relationship with you, so I don't know what we need to do, but, I do love you. I know we don't say it ever, this might be one of the few times I've ever said it, but it's down on paper, and just taking that step, because for me, that just felt good, just getting that on paper, getting it off of my chest and getting it out in the universe there, and then gave the note to my mom and told her to give it to him whenever it seemed like it was a good time to do that. And, we mended the fence, and, the relationship got better. Unfortunately, my drinking kept on for about another 10 years after that. So I was still pretty selfish and in my own world. But our relationship was at least on the mend. It was trending upward, that we could be around each other and get along and laugh and tell jokes and do whatever. So that was another big turning point in my life, was just reconciling that relationship with him.
You were just wasting time.
Wasted a lot of time, and those are years I'm not going to get back. But, since
you didn't know. You didn't
25
know.
on, we've had a great relationship,
Yeah.
and it's never been better. Every day I see him or talk to him, it's better than the day before, so.
And I think that's usually the period, like between, they say 13 to 24, 25 is when teenagers, our lives, our early 20s are like, our parents don't know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things proven where the, males specifically, their full maturity doesn't hit until 25. You know? So along with me having excessive probably brain trauma.
45 maybe for me.
With excessive brain trauma and getting pounded on the head from wrestling and doing MMA, like, all the football where I had just got my bell rung, where we clearly know that's not the medical definition of that. That means you were concussed.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of those. So I think for me, it just took a little bit longer than the average bear in terms of fully maturing. So, like I said, so.
And it takes time, man. And
oh yeah, I mean,
it wasn't a day.
It wasn't an overnight thing.
Yeah.
I gave my mom that note, and she told me he read it 2 weeks had gone by, and I still haven't heard anything. I was like, boy, that was a really good note too. I guess I'm gonna have to step my game up. But he needed time to process. He needed time to figure out, his stuff as well as my shit. And it's hard to build that relationship too when your son's an alcoholic and he's lying about everything and covering his tracks on this to that. You just can't, you can't believe him. So I didn't make it any easier on him, on earning trust and keeping that trust. So that was my second really big turning point in my life was that point there, and I'm super grateful for it.
and better than ever with dad. Shout out to Mr. Chin
Shout out Paul
for hanging
Wayne.
in there.
Shout out Paul Wayne.
He's still a work in progress.
Every day, man.
But my
Every day.
goodness, the miracle,
Yeah.
the turnaround.
Yep.
No, and I'm having a turning point now in my career in 40s, almost 2 decades of real estate commitment, and it's just what I know. I don't know if that amounts to 10,000 hours if I'm a professional level or I need to go to onto my next career, but it's still just something I love to do.
Yeah.
Being on vacation, like we didn't get no sleep at all. We were even in the cabin. It was super nice, but there's nothing like home and being in your bed.
Your own bed, your
Yeah,
own
so
smell of your
that's
own
kind of like
house.
where my energy comes from. Like when I help my clients out, there's nothing better, especially these guys in their early or young people, like get into a house first, create that home first. Also be careful who you're doing it with, don't just jump into creating this home. It takes a while to figure that out, but just seeing where I'm at with my career now, which way to go, if I still want to be, where my commitments go into, because I love the team, growing the team and now teaching it to other people because I'm able to spread out even more now. Turning point now in my life, huge turning point in my marriage was when Stacy was like, I just want you to listen to me. Quit trying to give me like
answers
and
solutions.
fixing my problems and telling me exactly what I need to do to just shut up and listen. I was like, oh, I didn't know that's all I had to do. I thought here you are venting and crying because I need to fit. Like, who am I going to beat up?
Yeah.
Who am I beating up? Where's this mirror at? What did this mirror tell you?
Yeah.
Let me go crush that mirror.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and I think that's just guys' wavelengths versus
Yeah.
females' wavelengths.
Yeah,
Women
and it's something
aren't
we've
always-
never been told.
No.
Something we don't know about unless that communication and your spouse or your partner is willing to open that up.
Yeah.
Like just shut up and listen. Done. I've been A+ ever since then.
Yeah.
On point ever since
Well,
then.
I think too, like even with like, I don't know about you, but me, just my age and just the way we were raised, the way things were done back then when we were younger. I mean, how many times do you ever have, like, we'll say from like 15 to 25, how many sit downs with guys have you had where it's like, I just need to talk and I just need you to listen? Zero. Because it's just not something we were encouraged to do.
No.
It was always be tough, be strong, don't show weakness, don't
Be as
show
tough as the next
emotion.
guy.
Yeah.
Be part of the group.
Don't open up about feelings, all that stuff. So it's a hard thing to navigate and grasp. But I mean, looking at it today, like even us doing this podcast, I've said it before on here, is to me this is like a therapy session for me because we get to get out stuff that's on my chest or on my heart, whether it be weighing heavy or just something that I just need to get out. Because if I keep it trapped in, that festers and that grows and that spreads like a cancer for me. So it reminds me, I had a lady earlier this week. She asked, so you run every day? I said, yep. She's like, and you lift weights every day? I said, yep. She said, well, do you not think that you're like better to the point where you don't have to do that? I said, I'm not sure. I said, this is what worked for
I
me.
don't think I want to know.
It kept me out of prison. It kept me out of a padded room. It kept me off all the Prozac and medication that they're trying to put me on. So that's just what I do. Like I don't want to not do that with the risk of taking a step back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that's what I have to do every day. If you wake up and you got to take medication every day, then that's what you got to do. That's what keeps you going.
And I think it's something nobody tells us, prepares us for. Between those 2 decades, between the 20s and your 40s, we make things so complicated. Because that's just what we see in the movies. We see like the drama you're supposed to have in marriages and everything we see. We make things so complicated, and that's where I'm getting at now in my 40s. And my dad always told me all the time, is like, quit doing that, it's too complicated, quit doing that, it's just more stuff to worry about, more money, more problems. We talked about it, more problems. Well, and I see it, more problems to solve, more and more things I get to do that day, which is an opportunity to me. But it's just now in my 40s, and it's just keep it simple, be there, be present for the kids, be present for my wife, be present for myself.
Yep.
I needed to get some clarity going out of town this weekend and doing all that driving. Again, the discussions we have with ourselves. Like I'm just thinking about when you said that, is I would go, that's me in the ocean in the morning, just
By
me and the
yourself.
waves,
Yeah.
me and the waves, talking to the waves and being out there. And then, all right, the dolphins are showing up, and it's like, all right, there's cool sign, like
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's awesome.
all that. But now, in our adult lives, really, it's not that complicated. Find somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
You start with your spouse. She can help you out. She can guide you if she can't help you, if they can't help you. It is hard having the conversations with a woman because we think like, man, women don't understand, but women are the ones that hold us and love us. You know, there is no love like that from my perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, get that out of to get out of your head and try to keep things simple is a lesson that's going to take you decades.
Yeah. And Gerardo says it the nice way. The way I talk to myself is keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
So I tend to do the same thing. I'll overcomplicate a wet paper bag if you let me, you know. But if I don't do my running every day, if I don't do my lifting, like that's what I revert back to is things get crazier inside internally, and I can't let things go, you know. So I go for a long run, and maybe I'm thinking about 40 things. When I'm done running, why was I thinking about any of those things? None of those things are of importance enough to lose sleep over, to stress about, to worry about. You know, and if there is something that I still need to work on, all right, well, that's what you need to do. So get to the lab, figure it out, start working on it, you know?
Yeah, and every day is a turning point. Every day.
Yeah. Yep, and that's important because every morning you wake up, you got choices. You know, you can either get up, go to the gym at 5 and get it in, be home by 7, get the kids ready and off, you know, to school, or you can hit snooze. You know, you're gonna wake up late, feeling like crap because your blood's not pumping. You don't have any of those, any of that brain power just fully operating yet. So I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, every day you got to make hard decisions. You know, and hopefully they're decisions you're making not just for your spouse, for your kids, for your business, for whatever, but also for yourself. Those are very important because whenever everybody's doing. And I was the same way. I would try and make everybody else happy and deal with me last. Well, guess what? When it got to me, the cup was empty. So there wasn't any help from me, you know. We'll work on me tomorrow. It was always tomorrow. Always tomorrow. I need to help all these other people. It's like, dude, you're in a vehicle that's on fire floating down a river. Like, take care of your life first because yours is a nightmare, you know. But when you got blinders on and you're just, you know, constantly focused on everything else that's going on besides what you've got going on, it's easy to point those fingers, to point blame, you know, and not accept responsibility that you have as a person, as a husband, as a father, you know, whatever it is. We've got daily responsibilities we got to do. So I know for me, I'm just happy that I can recognize all that stuff today. I see, you know, it's like going from, you know, having 120 vision to 20/20 vision. You just see life so much more clear. But if it wasn't for all these different turning points throughout my life, like it wouldn't be this clear, you know. So it's just a daily battle with yourself. And if you win enough daily battles, you win the month. If you win enough monthly battles, you win the year, you know. And there's a guy that old Jerry Dooley, shout out Jerry, he'd always tell me at the Y, 4:30 in the morning whenever I was going there before I had this back open again. Every morning I'd see him, I'd say, hey Jerry, what's up, man? Rinse do. Rinse do. He'd be on the treadmill or he'd be on the weights, but it was always rinse do every day, you know. So not saying you got to run 100 miles or lift weights for 9 hours straight, but if you got 30 minutes to do a workout, a stretch, a jog, a walk, do what you got to do. Do what you can, you know. So I always love on the days where I'm not super motivated. Rinse, do.
Yeah,
Rinse,
and
do.
it's so much mental, physical,
Emotional,
spiritual. Like
the emotional and spiritual ones are probably the two that that have the hardest time incorporating into my daily routine. You know, but then that leads to the other turning point in my life. The big one was getting sober. You know, that was the hardest one that I made.
That's all of the above.
Yeah, and you got to think all those previous turning points led to that moment. You know, so had I not, you know, had that turning point at 18 whenever I was wrestling, if I hadn't had that turning point whenever I was 25 trying to reconnect with my dad, you know, I don't know where that would have gone. I don't know if I would have had a turning point. I may have just kept driving that vehicle on fire, floating down the flooded street, you know. But yeah, so the big one that I had was just whenever I got sober, and that was 2019 Father's Day.
Yeah.
Remember that day very well because I had to call my dad from jail, letting him know I was getting arrested for a 4th time for drinking and driving. on Father's Day, so that's not a super awesome gift to
What
give.
a great sign.
Yeah, right. But but again, that turning point happened while I was sitting in jail. My spiritual awakening happened right then and there. I didn't ask for a sign this one time, which I asked every single time before that, never got one. But this time I got one without asking, and like I said, it was just a overwhelming spiritual awakening for me. And once I realized I had somebody else in my corner, someone greater than myself, a higher power that's all present, all knowing, it's just a feeling that it's very hard to describe in words, but it was just a life-changing moment of my life. My cravings for alcohol went away in that moment. Never had a craving since. Been around it. I've worked as a bartender, manager after that, and I know people that have been triggered by smells of wine, smells of beer, vodka, whiskey, whatever you want to do, and I didn't. So I don't know, if that was God intervening or if it was me fully committing to surrender to His will, And from that point on, a lot of great things happened for me. I stayed out of prison, didn't go to prison. I was supposed to be in for 5 years. Got in the DWI court program and really turned my life around that way. Shout out treatment court. Recovery week for treatment court is this week.
Okay.
So there is a treatment court graduation tonight at the amphitheater at 6 o'clock. And our race donated to the Recovery Week festivities they got. We go to
Is there a head count of how many are participating?
I meant to ask Judge Walker yesterday and I forgot to.
Wow. Congratulations to all those.
Yeah, so I'll be there tonight for that.
Huge turning point in your guys' life or in the person's life.
Well, not just their life. Like I get goosebumps just thinking about it because I love going there because I'm so involved with the program and seeing these people from day one, and then you see them a year and a half later or 2 years later or however long it takes for them to complete the program, and it's a totally different person. You see somebody that has joy, happiness, and not just the way they talk, but you can see it on their face, you can see it on their smile. These are people that are just like me. I was not a happy person whenever I got there, and not only was I not happy, I was insane. Like I was crazy. When you're that obsessed and addicted to alcohol and then you just stop, your physical life might get better, but internally your brain is going nuts because it's reaching for that thing that we use forever to calm down, to numb, to not think about certain things that need to be thought about. So from there, was able to run 20 miles a day for 28 days for my buddy. I raised $11,000 for him and his treatment that he needed. He had some mental health and substance abuse deals. And then I created the Jared Palmer Memorial Race, aka the Capital City Race, in his honor. He unfortunately didn't make it through his addiction and his mental health issues. So I get to help his family out every year. I get to help the treatment court out with the money we raise. We've done so well over the years that now I get to I can spread that money out a little bit more. So we make a donation to Valley Hope Rehabilitation Facility up in Boonville where I went, the treatment court, Jared's kids, their education fund. We're helping out now with the first responders for Mid-Missouri, mental health, critical intervention team training, just anything along those lines that they need help with. We're offering funding for them too. So it's just always nice when you get to see the fruits of all the work going into the race, and not just the race, but multiple years of it. And you get to see what that's like when you get to help these people out with, whatever they need during this program, because it's hard and it's very demanding. It's very, it's not easy for a reason, because this is your last ditch effort, to be a good member of society, which I was not, so just very happy to be on the other side of that fence and just living my life every day as great as I can. And
I want to have this comparison real quick while you mention all this, because you said you would pride on being the strongest, most physically fit dude showing up at wrestling, but then during all this addiction stuff, like, you were so weak.
Alone and weak,
but you prided on being so strong. And it's like, it really boils down to, as we get older as men, mentally strong, being mentally strong. I think that's the one hardest thing we struggle with, men and all that, because the guys we've lost, we thought they were the rocks of the foundations of their family when they're
family, community,
we couldn't read that in their heads that they were that mentally weak.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that, as you say that, just one thing kept popping into my head, and it's something I had to hear a lot of different times before it finally sunk in and I finally accepted it. Was sometimes the greatest, hardest thing that you can do in life is to ask for help, especially when you've done everything you could on your own and it's just not working. You're going backwards, you're going backwards, you're going backwards. Even if you're trying harder, if you don't have that help from somebody that, I kind of make this comparison. It's like you're training for a marathon, but you have no training plan. And you've never ran a marathon. So how are you going to train?
Just run 23 miles a day.
I'll figure it out. When you have no idea, you need some guidance. You can reach out to a training coach or reach out to a cross-country coach, and they can develop a plan for you where instead of trying to run, well, if I got to run a marathon, I guess I need to run 26 miles. So every day I train, I'm going to run 26 miles, and that should get me in shape for the marathon,
The pros still have coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Olympic athletes still have coaches.
Professional athletes, NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, like everybody's got a coach because everybody needs to get better, So yeah, that's one of those things that definitely, it took me a while to let that fully sink in, was asking for help sometimes is the hardest thing that we can do, and there's nothing wrong with it, because guess what? If we're losing by ourselves, what's the harm in asking for help, outside of the ego being in the way of showing signs of weakness, because you do have to ask for help, and that's not the case,
Oh, and even asking for help doesn't mean physically a person. Like, just research the books on the things you're going through.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of switching. A turning point in my life was going from working for someone else to being independent. Taking the full risk of being independent.
Same here.
Super scary, and then I just picked up those books, and then the Ryan Holiday books came across, and then Darren Hardy helped me get towards that turning point.
Daily Stoic.
Yeah. Yep.
Got all his books at home.
Ego is the enemy was the one that was like, oh, okay, this is where that person was coming from. This is why they do things that way. That's why we kind of didn't get along, or that's why it kind of didn't work when I was there. I wanted to work a different way. And all the other books that come along with it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And kind of that's what what our podcast is here for. Let you guys know we're all going through the same. Even if we're mentally strong, every day is a battle to get it back.
Yeah.
Get it back on the track, because we could either go right, left, or backwards. And we as much, not ego, but as much pride as we take in life now of how long to make it to this point, we can't go backwards. It's about leveling up every day.
We talked about that a little bit last week about the deadly sins of pride.
Yeah.
Because pride can be used as a good thing, or it can be used as a cardinal sin. And like I said, with anything, there's levels. There's levels where you can work out that are good, and then there's some people that are workoutaholics that are working out 2-3 times a day. Because of whatever body positivity, or they look and see someone different in the mirror than what they're actually seeing, or maybe they're looking at Instagram all the time and trying to compare themselves to all these AI generated models, or maybe the creme de la creme of Hollywood or anything like that. Because I had a guy in here earlier today, and I had him doing less reps, but less reps and less resistance on pull-ups. And he asked, he's like, now I know I've seen some other people in here when they're doing their pull-ups, like their form looks a lot better than mine. And this is a big guy, really big guy. And I was like, well, that's true. I was like, but you got to remember, like day one, we were using every single band I had to get you to do one pull-up, let alone sets of 10, sets of 5 that you're doing currently. I said, so, just because you see, Susie over here only using one resistance band and her form looks really good, like, don't compare yourself to her. Don't compare yourself to him. Your journey is your journey. You don't weigh the same as this person. You don't look like that person. You're a different gender than this person. Like, they're working on their own thing, but we're working on our own thing too over here. So just explaining that to him, and you can kind of see like, oh yeah, that does make sense. Okay, yeah, all right. So again, there's levels to all this stuff. But again, your journey is your journey. You don't need to be. Yeah,
I love that sentence you just said. They're working on their own thing.
Yeah.
I'm working on my own thing. Matt's working on his own thing. Not that we can't combine them or have conversations.
No, but everybody's
a work in progress.
Keep the main thing the main thing. But that reminds me too of Monday, talking about just daily battles. So Monday I had a early morning, had to be in at 5:30. Alarm was set for 4:15. Woke up on the couch at 3:10 a.m. Wide awake, fully knowing that if I go back to sleep, there's a good chance I'm going to sleep through my alarm. So I just got up. So I was already up an hour earlier than the butt crack of dawn. So by the time I had the 5:30 and I was working till about 10, and then I had to run home, take the dog out and do all that stuff. And then I had a massage at noon. I was like, okay, after your massage, you got a 2-hour window where you can go home and take a nap, get a little power nap, whatever, because I was just dragging. Didn't sleep great all weekend. And
Sounds like a Monday.
was dragging. But I got done with my massage, and I'm just thinking the whole time, when are you going to get your miles in? If you go take a nap, when are you going to get your miles in? And it was just repeat. So I was like, you know what? On the way home from the massage, maybe I'll just take the different route home that I usually take, and we'll drive by Memorial Park, just see what's popping off over there.
Okay.
So it was like 1:15, fully knowing that if I drive this way, I'm going to hit a right, pull in, and run. So instead of going home taking a nap, I ran 8.5 miles. Felt great, but I did not want to do it. And I was all bound and determined to get that power nap in. But these are the decisions I weighed in that moment, okay? Well, if I don't run now, when am I going to run? You going to do it later? Probably not. So let's be honest about that. Secondly, you just got done with a massage, so you're probably not going to feel any better than you're currently feeling right now in terms of peak, physical, how you're feeling. And the other thing was, if I go home, take a nap, and I got to be back here at 3, I'm going to be tired. I'm not going to have energy to work through until 6:30 like I know I need to. So if I just run now and don't take the nap, I'll sleep better tonight. Next day will be better. And guess what? It was.
Yeah, how'd you sleep that night?
Like a rock.
Yeah.
I maybe saw 8:15. I don't even know if I made it that long, but I know I saw enough of I saw the first half of the Monday Night Football game, and that was about it. But these are all decisions that
you don't have to run 8 miles a day.
These are all split-second decisions that you got to make every day.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can go left or you can go right. You can go up or you can go down. So for me, it's just, So, anyone that's like, man, I wish I had loved running like you, like I don't. Like it's just what I have to do every day, and I don't question it because it's worked since the day I got sober, And with that turning point, like I don't ever want to go back to that prison I lived in for most of my life. So it takes hard decisions. Yeah, it might be uncomfortable. Yeah, it's going to suck for a while, but it's better than the alternative. So in that case, I'll always take the do hard things mentality. That's what brings me clarity is after the hard stuff's over, all the stuff I was worried about, not as important, not as big of a deal as I was making it in my head. So those are big things for me and turning points in my life.
Yeah, those are 2 major ones. I'm sure there's a lot more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, if you guys are watching, you got anything else you want to talk about turning point-wise, let us know. Mm-hmm. But, you're talking or listening to 2 people here that one's married, has kids, so he's got that whole family aspect he's got to take care of. You got someone over here that's got a 4-legged critter as his little boy, but
younger too.
So just different perspectives on both sides, So if maybe you don't fit Gerardo's category of family and kids and all that stuff, maybe you lean more towards what I'm doing,
And everything in between.
Yeah. Yep. So just remember, guys, when it's all said and done, these 2 guys staring at you in the camera are not always perfect, as I'm sure you guys aren't either.
There's more. You can't tell there's more coffee on my feet than in my body. We just make the best of it.
Yeah.
Make the best of it.
How'd you feel whenever you put on that outfit this morning, knowing?
Well, if you guys didn't notice, I'm in fall mode now, and I got to clean out a huge turning point in my life. I got to clean out my closet of the junk that I was, or just not junk, just stuff I was just seeing. And it's just so much stuff. And then...
Is that like clothes and stuff?
Yeah, just clothes. Yeah, like just all the stuff that I don't even touch is just there. So this past weekend, I just shopped, bought my uniform for fall and winter, and I'm done thinking about that. Huge turning point in my getting ready in the morning life. But wearing jeans and a belt, Got to get used to it. It's a turning point in my life right
You
now.
make it look good, regardless of how
We're trying.
regardless of how sweaty you might be underneath.
Sweaty and coffee everywhere.
Yeah, no, I do that at the end of or at the beginning of every year. I go through the closet if I haven't worn it in the last year. It
Yeah.
goes in the sack and it goes to either Goodwill or Samaritan Center.
And it's a turning point in our lives, the weather, going in a cooler. Well, we were pulling up into the house yesterday. I'm like, Stacy, it's 7:21. The sun's gone. Those are very depressing turning points in our lives, but
Yeah,
we get to see the sunset.
that we do. Got to earn the sunrise as well.
Yep.
Yep. So shout out everybody listening. Appreciate y'all. Mo Cowbell Marathon, October 5th. It's coming.
Okay, who's it hosted by?
This is up in St. Charles. So it's a pretty fast marathon. It's pretty flat. So it's a good little race. But I'm going to use that one to kind of warm up before the November 2nd Bass Pro Marathon.
Ooh.
Shout out Josh Buffington. We're running that one together.
Is that one in Springfield?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the plan.
That's pretty flat.
I think so. I haven't been down there, so I don't know.
Okay.
I did the Mo Cowbell half marathon before I ran the Bar Harbor one, and the half marathon I PR'd it. Plus, it was super flat. So, very good race to run when you're used to training in hills in Jefferson City all the time.
No, I hope you don't have to run the Bass Pro one in Big Cedar.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I could probably do some homework and find out, but for me, it's like still got 26 miles one way or the other. So it is what it is. But,
Cool. Keep appreciating those turning points, and I think we're good to go.
Yep. All right, guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully this is recording right now. We're about to find out.
Until
The Not
next
So Perfect
time.
podcast.
Peace out.
Thank you, Matt.
See you
Peace
guys.
out.